How's it going? We're just waiting on the verdict here. Waiting for the panelists to actually get on, so that way we can be able to get on and get up out of here. Usually in the circumstances like this, the defense and the prosecution recess. They steer near the courthouse, and then this particular phase, once the verdict is actually reached, they're rushed back into the courtroom, and they usually come to an actual conclusion by the end of the day. Because right now in Minneapolis, it's like 3:30, so it's not uncommon for them to wait to the exact last moment of the day to actually come out and actually give the verdict of what's going on here. So waiting on other panelists to get on so that way we can be able to discuss the particulars of the case. So we're just looking at this screen until they actually get on here. So that's where we're at for right now. So, y'all want to come up, give a brief comment, and get off. But once these people start talking in this courtroom, we're going to have to shut the stream down and actually go to the actual reason of why we're actually here. So. You can't hear me? I can hear me. I can hear me just fine. Yeah, Wayman, that's exactly what I think. That is actually going to happen. But it's a very bad idea for this dude to be, that's a pretty short period of time to be deliberating a day, 2 days after 3 weeks of testimony. It's very bad for the actual, hold on a second. What's going on?
All right, man. Are we up?
Yeah, we up. Yep, we're on. We're still looking at a blank screen until they're until they come in. So
okay.
Currently going on in the courtroom right now. Hold on.
I'm looking at MSNBC. Let me slide over to.
No, I mean this is what's on the screen now. You've got pointless commentary that they didn't do during the trial while this is going on, but this is what you have currently on the screen right now. Waiting on you to come through. This is what Fox is showing, what Officer Tatum showing, David Packman, a whole bunch of people right now are showing right now. So this is
they're all on, man. They're all on showing the same. They're all on. This is fucking huge.
Yeah.
This is huge, man. This is huge.
Because at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's either you care about these issues or you don't. And this is very basic American law here that's at stake here. It's either, with all this information that happened, it's either this dude is guilty and he's not guilty. And if he's not guilty, why? You have 9 minutes and all this kind of stuff. And, I mean, you have to go over the actual, hold on a second, Mike's coming in.
Well, the blue wall of silence was broken.
Oh, you got some background.
Oh, I got background. Let me knock it out.
Let me know real quick. Let me see if that's you or if that's the courtroom. Okay. Mute up real quick. No, I think that's the courtroom, to be honest with you. My bad.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking at this right now. They got Michael Steele kind of coming in and a few others who were speaking on that. Even the president's office, they're sitting here waiting for this verdict to come out. Everybody's watching this right now. This is big. In fact,
nothing else works in the country if you can't get your own basic law right. Like a lot of people talk a lot of crazy stuff about the things that are going on, but they don't understand that if you can't get a simple up or down vote on this with this much evidence, then there's no need to even bring these people to trial in no case, to be quite honest with you.
Well, my girl down in Brazil, she just hit me up and said, what's going on with the trial here? Because they apparently have it on their news. They're covering that right now on O Globo in Brazil. What? They're covering this shit down in South Am? Oh boy. I didn't.
668, thanks for the $5 super chat. This goes into a nice to dark skin fun, and I hope everyone starts to galvanize themselves for a positive outcome. Yeah, I mean, the only outcome there is that this dude is guilty. It's just on one. Because I've never seen a case this long to where, like, I was on a case that was similar to this in federal court that was like 3 or 4 weeks long. It still took 4 days to come to the actual charges of what happened. And that was like child ape rape. So, in that case, we had to go over a whole bunch of evidence and testimony. But here, it's pretty clear because the defense didn't do a good job. Let's just be honest with you. He thought that he was going to be able to carry this stuff on like in every other case, and that's not what happened here. Mike?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
go ahead.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can be heard.
Yeah, this whole case was meant to challenge the blue wall of silence. So they're seeing now that it is penetrable. It can be impregnated. So you have your own staff and senior members testifying against you. That's a sign that the wall is starting to crumble. This could be like a Berlin Wall moment, 1989.
Yeah, because I just don't see how, like, there's literally no defense that they could have taken. Now, if all those people from the actual police department did not come and testify, he would actually have a good shot of getting off. Actually, an excellent shot at getting off, like in every other case. But it was just this guy by himself, didn't take the stand, called in people who pretty much got destroyed on the actual witness stand themselves, and actually one of the guys, the actual coroner guy who came to testify that there was carbon monoxide poisoning, is now facing a lawsuit of his own because he actually said that the cops were guilty in a similar case. This is what I'm talking about with the actual track record. You take your ass up there on the stand and you testify against something that's questionable, that stuff can be brought back consequences on it.
Yeah, that's a fact. But the key point here is, this is kind of a referendum on what policing they say should really look like, in the United States. The blue wall of silence definitely got kicked in on this one. You had major players from big police departments around the country come through, and they were not in favor of what Chauvin did. They weren't in favor of that. And they came out hard against him. They came out hard against the procedures, and they came out hard against him not following the proper procedures, and went in on what exactly proper procedure would be in a situation like this. And I really think the preponderance of the evidence that the prosecution was able to put down and really and really put out there so people could really examine what the proper kind of procedures would be under a circumstance like this shows that this guy really there was no reason to do what he did. In fact, it was so egregious that they might come in with a murder verdict on this guy. That might be the case. They were looking to prove that this potentially was potentially murderous. That's how hard the police came down on Officer Chauvin about his actions in this very particular case. Forget about the other cases that he had, that he did a lot of other things that were, he had a lot of other complaints against him. But and this is not the only person who's died, from being almost in this individual's custody. But But this case here, with all the cameras on it and looking at what real police procedure was and how the professional policing officers who were really out there, who were in charge, not just of carrying out their own job, but training others, did not support this. And that I think that was I think that level of testimony was decisive.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I can't add anything further other than what Nagone already said. I mean, you're seeing this now. You're seeing a lot of cases that no one's really covering, but we saw the woman from the LAPD who was fired 10 years ago for intervening on a chokehold herself. She's been awarded the last few days her settlement for a few $1 million, I think it was. Also, another woman for Chicago, I think she was also awarded as well from I think Chicago Police Department. Not particularly sure where in Illinois exactly, but yeah, you're starting to see everything happen all within the last maybe 72 hours to a week as to different sort of cases that are in proximity that could be retried again in the courtroom are now starting to come out in approximately the time of this hearing right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just that there's too many things that fell into place that normally doesn't fall into place with every other trial. I mean, and actually, I think that most people on the defense side should be brought up on perjury charges, because go what perjury is and what it actually means. So that way we know what we're talking about. So that way people don't think I'm just making this stuff up.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let me pull up the definition. Here we go. Let's share this screen right here. Boom. Boom. Perjury is the intentional act of swearing a false oath or falsifying an affirmation to tell the truth, whether spoken in writing, concerning the matters material to an official proceeding. Now, when the actual guy came on the stand, who was the coroner from, I think, what was it, Maryland? He got on the stand and pretty much perjured himself. There is nobody who thought, in any type of professional opinion, that George Floyd died from carbon monoxide poisoning. And actually, it actually makes Chauvin look more guilty, because like, yeah, he had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes, so he had his face in front of a tailpipe of a car. Like, bro, do you know what you was doing? You were supposed to be testifying for the defense. And this is not a professional opinion of anybody involved. Not the doctor who seen him at the hospital, not the actual coroner who did the actual autopsy, and definitely not the pulmonologist who testified on the stand. So when you come here as a guy who's retired from the field, who usually come in and just okay and go ahead police behavior in these types of circumstances, you just can't go around doing it. And it really put like these police witnesses kind of in a bad light. Like, these dudes are just hired hitmen who just show up to courtrooms and just say whatever it takes to get the money, especially when it comes to actually defending the police. The same thing with the actual Barry Broad guy, who came in, even though there was a whole bunch of testimony that he broke the actual policy of the organization when it came to the actual the head of the homicide unit said that it was not okay. The chief of police said it wasn't okay. Chauvin's direct supervisor said that he broke policy. And then you had day 7 when there was nothing but a whole entire day of forced proceedings that went on during that day. And still, after all of that testimony, this guy came on the stand, Mr. Barry Broad, and pretty much said that it was okay for Chauvin to do what he did and okay to do it within that case. That guy should have been immediately charged with perjury. I mean, he was pretty much impeached off the witness stand by the actual cross-examination, but you just can't have people who just come under oath and just say stuff against the actual department that he's not a part of. No, he was an ex-police officer, but he wasn't a police officer in that specific organization.
Hey, MOT, I have a question.
Mike.
Aren't, with a lot and a
Mike.
lot.
Talk to Mike. Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they tried to pull the Ford, the exhaust fumes as a way to blame Ford. Maybe they should have had a auto stop start, on their engine, and that would have prevented him from dying, and they would have held Ford liable for it, for their interceptors or something like that. And maybe Ford is gonna, walk back now and say, well, maybe we're gonna update these interceptors and and add this whole start stop, engine cutoff so that people, suspects, held in custody won't die from carbon monoxide poisoning. It was too far of a stretch and did not help the case at all. It was actually pretty embarrassing.
We go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask you, MOT, aren't witnesses? Don't the defense bring witnesses forth that they pay to come up literally to try to back up whatever they're saying in any kind of way that they have witnesses?
That's what happened. That's what happened.
They have this. I'm not surprised at seeing this. I'm just saying this does exist, right? Would you not agree?
No, but that's exactly what happened. He brought a whole bunch of people up. He brought a police expert. He brought his own kind of use of force guys up and all these other things, and it just fell flat. And it's, you really got to understand that you cannot deliberately bring people up there to try to throw the case, because that's what the actual coroner guy from actual what was it? Maryland tried to do. He tried to throw the case into a tailspin by bringing up testimony that had nothing to do with the things that was in the documents to try to actually get a mistrial. That's what he actually tried to do. So that's what it was. Unbelievable. I don't understand why he thought that was going to work, but that's just where we are, man. Mike?
Oh, no, I don't have anything to add.
Go.
Oh, no, I think that's absolutely, right on the money. I don't think they did themselves a lot of good in their defense. Now, saying this, the defense had a very difficult job. They did have a difficult job on this because it's hard to talk against that tape. I remember watching a movie years ago. It was Scarface. I don't know if you guys saw that. And they were in Scarface that got caught, basically counting drug money, in front of, undercover officers. And there was a tape running while he did this. And his attorney's like, listen, look, man, I can get you, like 3 years or so. We can work out a deal. I don't want to jail. Well, listen, we got to work out a deal. See, I'm all about bringing a shadow of a doubt to the case, but it's hard to bring that shadow of a doubt when you're sitting here counting money on a tape, on a video, when they're looking right at you. So it's hard to defend yourself against some of this kind of stuff. Very hard to defend himself against that 9 minutes. Regardless of whoever you pay to get up there, it's difficult to defend yourself against that, that 9 minutes of videotape and the man screaming, being tortured, saying, "I can't breathe." How do you truly defend yourself against that for 9 minutes? What is your true defense? Me, I'd be trying to plea bargain this guy. That's what I would have been trying to do. I wouldn't have gone to trial on this. I'd have been trying to plea bargain this man. Sorry, that's how I would have looked at it. But that's where we're at. Go ahead.
All right. JR asked a pretty good question. Yeah, that's the breakdown. So breakdown of the actual jury itself. I've been in a jury room, a couple of times. And one time there was I think I told this story one time that there was a guy who was at the IHOP on Mississippi and 225 in Aurora, Colorado. And after all the clubs closed in like Aurora, that's when I owned the Casbah at the time. And the only place to eat would be the Waffle House, which is probably about 6 blocks down the street, and IHOP, especially on that side of town near the base. So whenever the dining room is full, the police normally are in the lobby making sure nothing happens. And if it's too full, where there's too many people waiting, they have you they just tell you that you got to leave the premises, especially if it's a 24-hour establishment. They tell you there's too many people here and you got to leave. So this person was leaving the actual IHOP, and he was all the way away from the building. He was about 100 feet away from the building, and he was trying to get some girl's phone number. So the police seen him try to get the girl's phone number, and he locked the dude up for trespassing. Took the dude all the way to jail for trespassing. Even though he was nowhere near the establishment, he was in the parking lot. They were nowhere near interfering with any type of thing, but he just wanted to be, a dick and actually take this dude to jail for trespassing, because you actually could in that case, even though he was nowhere near the door. So we go into the jury deliberation. Like, once they found out what happened, everybody was looking all concerned. When they went back into that jury room, did you know that all those people was trying to make sure that that dude was found guilty for that?
Wow.
And the first word out of somebody's mouth was a guy, black guy. Well, I've been told by everybody that I should believe everything that the police say. I'm like, no. It's a 24-hour establishment. There's nowhere inside the actual business impeding the actual things. Now, the actual manager of the place didn't know that that's what happened. Like, he thought the dude was somehow no, the dude was out in the parking lot, nowhere near the door, nowhere near the inside. But this cop just wanted to do that to do that to the dude. And it just shows you that once you are off in that jury deliberations, man, a lot of like the real thing come out, man. A lot of people will sell your ass out in a heartbeat. And I asked the dude point blank, if this was you in this same situation, would you want me to vote guilty for you for trespassing on a 24-hour establishment? The guy said, no. I'm like, when did I say end of the story? Stupid motherfucker. You're not guilty. You're not going to move me on this shit. You know this shit's wrong, but you just want to throw this dude, man. Get out of here, man. So the dude was not guilty. Just like it was, because I was back there, and all those other people was just going to go along with the flow and lock this dude up. I'm telling you, man, you got to serve on these juries when you get these summons. You could be the only voice of reason on that jury. You could be, because a lot of these people are just trying to get out of there with the quickness, and they don't mind throwing your ass under the bus. You don't get to challenge jurors and all that kind of other stuff. So that's what I'm saying, man. You got to be part of the process if you want this process to change. You got to be part of it.
It's true. I was on 2 juries before. They were not big cases. They were actually different types of cases. They weren't anything fiery like this. So it wasn't. It wasn't a big deal. So it wasn't anything that I think is really much to speak about here. But I do remember my former father-in-law. He's passed on, but he did express to me one time about how he was in Queens, and he was doing jury duty, and he got on the jury, and his reasoning on a case that was a criminal case that they were trying to lock up a couple of young black kids that really didn't do anything. He was one of the only voices of true reason on that jury, and basically he was the one that helped turn that thing around and help get those kids from getting locked up. And these were basically just regular kids doing nothing. They weren't out there pulling guns or anything else like that. They were trying to railroad these guys. So he was on the jury and said, "Hey, well, if I wasn't on that jury, I believe these kids would have got railroaded. I was there and I had to help to change it." He spoke on it very openly. So he believed in that. And we definitely should be doing jury duty as well. That's part of your civic duty as well. But certainly you want to have the right people in there, because you can obviously see, just because you're black and you get on a jury, you may not look at things very objectively. You might have hatred for your own people, and you might want to see them hang and fry as well, regardless. So it's a crap. I say everybody definitely get on the jury if you do have jury duty. Don't try to back out of it if you can help it.
Yeah, I see a comment in the chat. Well, not in the chat, but the same kind of question keeps coming up as to, well, they should have just arrested him, put him in the back of the car, and took off. In reality, we've gone over this many times before. The statutes of limitations say unless it's $1,000 or more, it's not a criminal offense. He was not trying to print the money. We don't know if the money was even counterfeit to begin with. We don't know where he got it from. Anybody could have gave it to this guy. There was no reason to actually apprehend him and to be in physical force of him. He was not a convicted felon or anything like that. He did not have warrants out for his arrest, to my knowledge. He was not a threat. Under his condition, he was not a threat to anybody. So the reality here is this: a simple decision by we can't say he's poorly trained either, because Chauvin actually has a bachelor's degree in law enforcement. He had all the training, was trained in Israel as well, from my understanding, or trained by Israeli IDF people. So training is not the issue. It was a simple decision that I have to conquer this melanated guy because my self-esteem is predicated on how I treat this dude here. He had 18 other complaints filed against him. 16 of them are hidden. You can't see them. And they won't release it because the trial is in place. That should tell you something about the system out there.
That's exactly correct. And they started hiding this stuff after, and they did this enterprise-wide across the country after, what's his name, who got beaten, who took that, terrible beating in LA. They saw that those officers who basically were teeing off on him had a lot of, basically had a lot of complaints against them. So what the police started to see was that the officers who were doing a lot of the beatings and the killings, this is not just all over the place and it's every type of officers doing this. That's not the case. The case is that they actually have a fairly small number of officers who do this repeatedly. And that's why they covered all that up after, why am I drawing a blank on this guy's name in LA who took the beat? King. Well, yeah. That came out of that they came out of right out of the LAPD, and they started seeing that people who were killing folks, and then a lot of the lawsuits that were coming up and things that, a lot of lawsuits that were actually getting paid out to claimants because that were really coming down to a few basic officers who were consistently being brought up on this. And so the police departments know this. They know who their trouble officers are, and they do nothing. This guy, Chauvin, was a danger on that police force. He had over 19, almost 20 complaints against him. He had many complaints. Officers may get one or two, but when you start having many complaints against you, that's indicative that you've got an individual who may not be properly, adjusted for this job. And hey, this is what you get. This is what you get when you leave these people on for this amount of time. They do these types of things. This is what happens.
And I really don't understand why those complaints was not part of the trial. I do not understand why those type of complaints against him, because that's part of his track record. And how come that was not a part of the trial itself? They can be used against him.
The union hit him, MOT.
Okay. Okay. This union thing again. Yeah. So it's like, look, at the end of the day, man, all this stuff has to turn around. And a lot of these people, they don't want to really care because at the end of the day, you have people who throw other things in that I've said in the past, but this right here should be pretty easy. Pretty easy. You got people who call themselves blackmail first. They haven't covered any of this stuff. Nothing. Culture warrior. That's all they got. Nonsense. So what you have to realize is a lot of these people who haven't taken a side but yet still want to talk shit about Black Lives Matter and all that shit. They haven't even concentrated on what the NRA does or all this other stuff. There's nothing but women, women, women all the time. You have to understand that you have to organize for your own power. And if the only thing you are doing is pointing your fingers out to what other people are doing, connecting it to the culture war, then you're just a piece of shit. You shouldn't even be allowed to talk about politics. It's crazy. It's just nuts that the only thing that matters in politics when it comes to somebody buying a house is somebody from Black Lives Matter, not somebody from the NRA, not somebody from the Southern Baptist Convention, not nobody from the any other right-wing organization, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, nothing. The only thing that get covered here is BLM. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's bad. That really is. And then when people talk about the NRA and all these organizations that are supposed to be so super conservative and support this, that, and the third with respect to gun rights, your ownership, and whatever. Hey, when Fernando Castillo got blown away, I certainly didn't see them come out, and speak out for him. He was a responsible gun license that got blasted in his car by the police. We believe in this. I believe it was in Minnesota as well, and nobody came out. None of these groups came out and spoke out for him.
Correct. What's going on? What's going on, man?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I was listening to. They were doing a little discussion on the jury, and they said one of the nurses, one of the people on the jury, was a cardiac nurse. She basically specialized in reviving people. So, I don't think this looks good for him at all. Part of me wonders if they do return a guilty verdict, do they also get to return a recommended sentence? Like, hey, we recommend 25, 30 years, whatever, to the judge.
I mean, that's a state by state thing, man. I know in Colorado, you don't get to do that. Some other states, they do get to recommend that, but I don't think this is one of these states. Otherwise, we would have already heard about that process already.
Yeah, because that's why I was wondering, maybe that's why it took a little bit longer too. Maybe you had consensus around, the three charges, and maybe they spent their time talking about what the recommended sentence was. But I mean, just from listening to the experts, they've been saying they seriously doubt that he's going to get off. That usually when you have verdicts come back this fast, it's usually in favor of the prosecution.
Yeah, they flipped this over pretty quick. They flipped this over pretty quick. This was a pretty quick. It could be in favor of him and could say, hey, yeah, he's innocent. They didn't prove the case. He's innocent, and would have just thrown it out very quickly. That could be the case, but that tends to be more rare than common. Certainly, if they are all, in line with what a verdict should be, that does come back very quickly. And like you're saying, I believe that this juror who was in there, who would have definitely influence over would have influence in the jury, speaking about that this is what she does for a job, and she knows what can happen. It sounds like my man finished. It sounds like he finished. So that's how it sounds to me. So I don't know. Either way, I don't think this looks good for the defense. I don't think that it does.
Yeah, they said they were surprised that the defense actually let that lady stay on the jury. That basically worked. You have all these experts coming up there, and then essentially you have her to defer to in the jury room. This whole he died of an overdose, or died from the smog from that SUV. It's just it's gonna fall apart.
I mean, but if you ran out of strikes, because he was striking a lot of people who should have been on that jury, so he ran out of strikes pretty early.
Yeah,
the actual defense guy, he ran out of strikes pretty early. He should have saved it for cases like that. Not that I'm just. Yeah, that's a person who you don't want on the jury if you're actually a defense. It's somebody who knows something about the particular process. But given that it taken so long to actually get a jury sat because everybody came with the words of, I believe everything that the police say, and that sometimes they make a mistake, none of those dudes sat on the jury. None of them. But that's the type of society that you culture here. that they get to get away with this stuff. And then once they come into an actual case like this of obvious wrongdoing, they still say some stuff like that. Dude, you can't sit on nobody's jury, period.
Big problem. Blue wall of silence, like Mike brought up, like you brought up, MOT, and we were saying just earlier here. A lot of police, high-level police professionals came out against this man. That's very, very hard to deal with. That's tough. The defense has to fight that one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. How are you going to deal with that? How are you really going to throw a lot of shade on that and make your case look a lot stronger, where professionals who are talking now about procedure, and deadly force use and so forth, people who are experts in this, been on the job for decades, with stellar careers, very difficult to deal with. This was very hard for the defense, I believe, very hard.
Did any of y'all hear Maxine Waters' comments? Now everyone said that.
Don't care, don't matter. It's not even part of the case. Anything else? Yeah,
no,
we're not even going over.
Okay.
No, we're not even getting into that. Joe Biden's comments that he made, not even part of the case at all. Has no.
No, MOT. You heard what the judge said, though, that he thought that it could be a basis for appeal.
Yeah, fuck that judge. That judge has no fucking idea what he's talking about. None. No idea. The judge has no idea what he's talking about. You can't say that a politician that's not even in your state talking about a specific case. You think George W. Bush didn't say shit about the Zacharias Moussaoui in his fucking case? Of course, he talked major shit about it. All conservatives did. So, yeah, you have to get political free speech, especially in cases like this. That's why it don't matter. But to actual culture warriors, yeah. Is it possible for an actual appeal? No, motherfucker, you get an appeal if they brought up some new evidence that shows that he's innocent. This is why it makes no reference to what's actually going on. What she actually said had nothing to do with the 9 minutes, had nothing to do with the testimony in the trial, had nothing to do with nothing. You leave that to helmet niggas who want to talk about dumb shit like that rather than the actual case at hand. It has nothing to do with the trial. Nothing. Even though the judge said it, the judge on some bullshit. Because guess what? You have Fox News running 24-hour segments on people during cases and stuff like that. You never heard a judge say, well, Fox News said this, so therefore it could be an actual appeal. Never came up. Never came out of a judge's mouth, ever. So we just not going to put that at the forefront in this type of case, man. No, it don't even matter. Even if it did came out of his mouth, no. Well, you actually get an ethics violation for actually even bringing that shit up, period.
Well, people were saying, hey, you should have had the jury sequestered anyway, so.
No, I mean, and that's the actual jury itself. The jury itself shouldn't be looking at the news or anything else. They was already given those instructions. So for him to actually bring that up in the actual courtroom at all is bullshit to begin with. Because if they're being sequestered, how is he bringing up things that are happening in the media into a case that has nothing to do with the actual case? I would file an actual ethics complaint against the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you do, listen, you guys don't understand. Filing an ethics complaint against a judge or an actual attorney will make them people bow down. They don't listen to anything else in the world, but they do pay attention to those ethics complaints. Those ethics complaints pile up. They could be in some serious trouble over that stuff. So in these type of circumstances, you got to know what your rights are. Because he can say that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, nah, man, that has nothing to do with the case. Maxine Waters is not anywhere near the case. Yes, she protested in the city, but anything outside the case shouldn't be brought into the courtroom. That's his fault. Trying to let people off and all that kind of shit. It has nothing to do with the case. Nothing.
No, she has a constitutional right to speak out.
Yeah.
So nothing could be, held against her opinion at all. But they'll do anything, because when MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, came out and said what she said, no one said anything about her. So
Yeah, you do
So
have right.
it's just that. Yeah, so it's just that. Look, I get what you're saying, but they're trying to make it look like she don't have political free speech as a politician.
Okay, fellas, here it comes. Here it comes.
I don't see anything on my screen.
I got it on right now.
Hey, Mike, can you pull it up? Because I don't see anything on my screen. I don't see anything on the
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I see it now. Hold on a second.
All rise for the jury. All right, please be seated. Members of the jury, I understand you have a verdict.
Oh shit.
Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict count 1, court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror 4-person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury 4-person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury 4-person 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts, so say you one, so say you all?
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy duty jury service. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into your usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer your questions and to advise you further. So all rise for the jury.
zero emotion, zero regret. This is why you're going to prison. Fucking clown.
With the guilty verdicts returned, we're going to have Blakely, you may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on the Blakely factors, the factual findings, 1 week after that. We'll order a PSI immediately returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also have a briefing on, after you get the PSI, 6 weeks from now, and then 8 weeks from now, we will have sentencing. We'll get you the exact dates in a scheduling order. Is there a motion on behalf of the state?
Move to have the court revoke the defendant's bail and remand him into custody pending sentencing.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. Anything further? Aye. Thank you.
Murder 2, felony murder, guilty. 9 minutes and 9 seconds. Prosecution told the jurors, believe your own eyes. Nicole?
Oh, they walking his ass out like a perp that he is. He finished. He finished.
There we go. There we go.
He finished.
Okay, helmet niggas should be kicked out of the fucking manosphere starting today. If you
you niggas thought he gonna walk?
shit,
Where y'all at now?
fuck out of here.
Like
Like this is what I'm talking about, man. Like these dudes went up on a live stream. A live stream to defend this shit. They didn't cover the trial.
fucking
They
shine.
didn't cover shit.
Look at these.
3 out of 3.
Look at these.
3 out of 3.
He's fucking.
And
shine.
you really think that perfect actually behavior by black men was not gonna let that lunatic do what he did? That dude do what he did because he thought he was gonna get away with it.
crime.
At the end of the day, none of these people covered the case. None of these people covered the evidence. They tried to misuse whatever was presented. Where the fuck is SKC in this journalistic hat at? He didn't even prove the goddamn voter fraud shit. Still winding up having this clown ass around this motherfucker. Dude, listen. The facts of the case was clear from the very beginning that this dude was guilty. Unbelievable. And it's like, look, we know how I feel about certain elements of society, but this right here, when you got tape, when you got witnesses calling the police on police, nah, man, nah. But this is where we at, though. Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to a few of those channels, and a lot of the previous content has now been deleted or not available. So we're seeing the Berlin Wall come down right now. Yeah, some of the old clips or some of the old content that I had saved in my bookmarks, I went back to go look at. This video is not available, so.
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. At this point in time, you better have a fucking side pick.
Well, that stream.
You better have a side pick.
That stream from art is still up there.
You better have an actual side pick. There is no reason not to have a side pick today. There was a certain element of people who wanted this dude to get off, and they were not on the left.
I was gonna say that stream from art is still up there. Don't let that one go down. That's all the evidence you need, and the one on TPOT.
All right, all you fucking shines, you finish.
Yeah, but this is the thing, man. It's like
you
can't
finish.
have you can't have this. Like, bro, listen. I said it first and foremost. The police are at work. Oh, of course, Little Big Leg, but don't nobody take them seriously. But look, You know, at the end of the day, I want to hear the counter streams from all these guys who think the dude should have got off. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear all those streams. And so here's another thing. No one would endorse anybody at a food restaurant if they had a horrible customer. They wouldn't endorse the people from the restaurant poisoning the food and obviously killing the patron. Nobody would endorse actions like that. Why? It would be deliberately illegal because they're at work. It's not different in the police's case. I don't give a shit how scared you are at work. I'd be scared when I'm driving this 80,000-pound truck when I'm behind the wheel of it. Do you think that I'd get to go mow down a family because I clearly didn't have control over my truck? They wouldn't let me off for that kind of stuff. They wouldn't. They would not. What's going on? But at the end of the day, you have to realize this. They don't believe in working for anything. This is why they're in the middle or they on the right and won't say so. But this is where we are, man. It's like, dude, listen, there are things going on in this country where you have to take a side. Yeah, the dude probably could have died of a heart attack, but guess what? I wanted him to die of a heart attack, not in that fashion. The dude showed no emotion, no remorse, no nothing, and he didn't take the stand. But you had all this front loading of most of these conservatives around here saying all this and all that and all the other. They didn't even do anything. None of that all that stuff fell short. It's crazy. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people hinge their credibility, on talking points that really did not make any sense. I mean, it's unbelievable that these sort of people exist in a space who claim to be black male first, but could not have any empathy for the victim in it, but sided with the conspirators on the law enforcement side. And these same guys talk about back in the blue, while at the same time, saying, thank everybody for their military service. And we're just seeing all of these sort of perspectives all over the place. We've never seen anything like this before in this space. I'm hoping that with this conviction, it cleans out the space on its own. The algorithm starts to clean itself up because people are starting to delete their videos right now as we speak. Certain content creators are pretending like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you go to their video and it says this video is not available. All right, man. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
but to your point, MOT, even BP, with the oil spill in the Gulf, they had to pay billions of dollars out, for all of the damage that they caused. And so everybody else has to be accountable. You have to be accountable as well. And when you're in law enforcement, it's no different.
Again, they're at work.
You know what they're going to do?
I wouldn't want nobody to go. I wouldn't want nobody from the water department to be able to have the right to kill people on duty. I wouldn't want nobody from the fire department to decide that their life matters more than anybody else's. Therefore, I'm going to go home and they're not. And we need to start charging people who say dumbass shit like that. You have to charge them with conspiracy to commit federal murder on the behalf of the police. You have to. Because we don't have these problems in the military. I guarantee you, most of these people in the military who thought this dude is guilty, name them how many times on base where you seen a dude being all gung-ho and doing all this crazy stuff in an actual traffic stop. It never happens. And if it does, the dude get major consequences. Go ahead, Mike.
I think it's on its turn.
Oh, okay, Renaissance. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, like I said, kind of not surprising. It will be interesting, as Mike said, if this is the beginning of the cracking of the Berlin Wall. It's so surprising. Well, it's not surprising. It's just crazy to me that, guys took this position that he was going to walk when you literally had his own boss head boss testifying against him. You had all sorts of experts. He didn't take the stand. It just it was never a good look. When you look at the jury makeup, the jury was actually was half white and half people of color. So I mean, very educated jury. It just, the positions that were made no sense whatsoever. We'll see what if there are any long-term ramifications for this as far as police reform goes, and holding people accountable going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was this was heavy duty right here. They hit this guy on every count. I thought they were going to get him on the third-degree murder charge. I thought they were going to get him on that. I said that before. But that's exactly what happened. The cascade, the cavalcade of pros coming through, burying this guy by the police. It was too much. It was too much. Can't be out here backing up savagery, murder, and being basically, a lot of guys in the space here who are black male misandrists themselves and hating on themselves. You brothers, y'all look bad. Y'all look terrible out here backing this up, man. Y'all look terrible backing up the murder. The murder of people who should not be getting murdered. There's no reason for that. And if it's us,
conservatives who don't even believe in the process, conservatives who don't even believe in minimum level of law, but they believe in the law when it applies to black people. But they don't believe in law when it applies to everybody else. Like I don't get that type of conservatism.
Well, it's not conservatism. It's they call it what it is. It's racism. It's real. How would you say discrimination against you? But they roll it up in the veneer of what one would call conservatism when it isn't. Conservatives, if anything, are about the law. Supposedly, that's what they're about. That's technically what conservatism, or the strong points of what conservatism is really about. As I understand conservatism, I understand it quite well. And anybody else here who understands the conservative mantra will understand this as well. But this certainly is not what we see. And these guys are backing this up because they don't like. We have a lot of people here that we don't like ourselves. We don't. We have a lot of reasons for why we believe this, but this is a big thing, and this is a problem that we have. And we got to look at that. Right here, the right decision was made, and and you'll have some people here like saying they're hiding their videos and running around now and hiding, and they're gonna bury themselves under the ninefold earth. But can't run from this one. You guys can't run from this one. This is big. I'm even getting a text right now from South America. So nah, man. You guys are way off on this one. And I hopefully some people learn from this, but I do doubt that. Anyway, go ahead, Amuti. I'm done.
I mean, but the guy didn't show any emotion. He's never shown that he was like, dude, I really think he could have took the stand and took like an emotional plea. It would have been better than not saying anything and showing a completely no emotion during the entire trial, man. Like you have to understand that the jury is looking at your ass the entire time of all the testimony that's going on. Like it isn't just them hearing it. They have nothing else to do but look at you while all the stuff is being made out there. And it's like, for all these people to come up with all these excuses, normally you would have pro-police people on TV making up dumb excuses. You would have union officials out here making broad claims about how he's not guilty. None of that stuff happened in this case. Nobody was really on TV talking that stuff in this case. Corporate America got the message. Well, you know what? You're not gonna run no ass on your show if you call them type of people on.
To your point, MOT. Someone made someone had a question in the chat or a statement in the chat that they're surprised that he would get second degree. He was cheesing during the trial. I don't know if anybody had paid attention to the.
Oh yeah.
The since the beginning of it, this guy was cheesing. He thought he was going to get off. Even with the mask on his face, you could see that Kool-Aid smile through the mask, and it was like, yeah, what do you think is going to happen, right? And he thought he had an easy victory because that black police officer, the Somali police officer who killed that Australian woman in Minnesota, they found him guilty really quick and threw him in a slammer. But In this case, there was a lot of discrepancies, because of all of these sort of witnesses and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what happened to the Somali Minnesota police officer was really accidental. He was startled, gun discharged, she got hit in the process, she died. In this, there was a lot of decision making to in arresting Floyd. The idea to even be aggressive with him, the idea to even putting him on the ground, the idea of just standing on him. There was a whole lot of decision making that was just flawed from start to finish, and yet people were questioning whether or not he should go to jail. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You just had a Somali Minnesota police officer go to jail immediately over an accident. But you had people in the space who sided with, Derek Chauvin over George Floyd, said he was a Pookie. His Pookie pass matters, but somehow 18 complaints filed with the police department against Chauvin, that shouldn't matter all of a sudden. His character shouldn't come up. But the reality was George Floyd wasn't on a trial. Derek Chauvin was on trial. His track record should have come into play. That would have really put the nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah. Renaissance? You still there? You dropped off?
Yeah, I'm still here. Nah, it'll be interesting now to see what the sentencing looks like, because I think I heard that if he was convicted on all charges, up to 40 years. So it'll be interesting to see where because the judge is, ultimately going to do the sentencing on where this falls, and whether it's somewhere in the middle, closer towards the 40, or whether he goes for the maximum sentence. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know if they have it like being concurrent or whether they're considered separate. Like in Colorado, felony murder is you get life. Doesn't matter your involvement. Your ass is out of here. Any type of helping with the crime is just like in Columbine. The dude who bought the gun, yeah, he got life over that shit. So it's like, I'm not sure if those times can be served concurrently together or whether they're considered separate sentences to where he can actually serve them separately. I don't know that. I know what it is federally, but I don't know, especially on more of a Minnesota basis, how that's going to be out.
The other thing I wonder too is, it's not so much now that he was found guilty, but I always wondered if the feds would step in on civil rights charges as well.
Against him? It doesn't matter. He's a citizen. I mean, they can't against the police department because that's who's responsible.
No, like in the same thing that happened with Slager in South Carolina. He got off in state court, but they got him on federal charges. I was wondering if that may be an option here as well.
No, go ahead and go. I didn't think it was happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Felony murder in the first degree carries a life sentence. It's life. Regardless whether these sentences carry out concurrently or separately, doesn't make a difference right now. He's in jail for life. It's life sentence. That's what he got. That's what went down today, whether you know that. That's what went down. Felony murder, first degree. He's done. He finished. He ain't ever coming out. He ain't ever coming out. He's got generations of time. Generations. He's done.
Yeah, well, somebody asked a question in the chat. Ethan Wang, the jury being tainted will be the most likely grounds for the appeal. Could you please expound on what you mean by the jury being tainted? And if you don't answer, I'm gonna block your ass from my goddamn chat. Everybody don't say nothing in the chat. Get this dude time to get his thoughts together so that way he can tell me how the actual jury was tainted. Because those actual comments came from the judge. It didn't come to the jury. It came from the judge. That's why it didn't matter. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the actual case itself. I mean, you do realize now, okay, now I like this. I like this question. No. At least you got a good argument. At least you got a good argument. Don't nobody time them out or nothing like that. Now, this is what I'm talking about. When somebody has a different opinion. Now, this is actually a legitimate opinion itself. Now, Ethan, the actual defense's job was to lay out reasonable doubt. That was his actual what do you call it? That was his actual defense strategy, was to lay out as much reasonable doubt as possible. This is why all of his people who came on the stand had different versions of what happened in the actual case, because they wanted to sow as much reasonable doubt as possible. When in actuality, if you put it all together, he actually voted on those jurors himself as well. He voted for those jurors too. Some of those jurors he actually voted for before the actual prosecution had to answer them questions. So you just can't. I mean, it's a good question. It's a valid question, but you have to realize that in this case, there was two things that was going on here. The first thing was, how did the guy die? Did he die from what the actual defense alleges was that he died of a heart and health issues associated with swallowing drugs? Because they started throwing that stuff in there all over the media too, a little bit. But the actual other portion of it, we know with the medical certainty, like the medical certainty part of the actual people who testified for the prosecution said with their medical certainty how he actually died. The actual coroner, the actual summarization at the top of the actual autopsy said that he died from restraint by the police and something compressions. And yes, he did have drugs in his system. The actual doctor at the hospital, once he heard the entire story, the doctor at the hospital said that he died from most likely asphyxia. When the actual doctor came on the stand, the pulmonologist, he actually said that the guy, it was like having his lungs removed from his body. These are within medical certainty. You can't overturn expert testimony like that by just trying to make it the jury selection play. Like, you can't. Now, that was his actual debate strategy. So that is a valid point. But I don't think that's not going to be something that he's going to try to actually do an actual appeal over. Appeal is about new evidence. Appeal is not about the jury itself. It's, dude, they're not going to take that route. And thank you for your question, man, because it was a very good question. Man, I love it when people bring up competent points, man. Go ahead, Mike. Okay, Renaissance.
No, I'm good. Like I said, even if you get an appeal, I mean, even if you win appeal on that point, you're still gonna have a retrial. Like, it's not gonna be if the jury retain it, they're just gonna make you do a retrial. So I mean, it's not a good. Like I said, it's not a good look for him. He's definitely gonna do some hard time. I think it was, like I said, it was pretty telling that pretty much they revoked his bond. Pretty much escorted him out there and pretty much took him straight to prison. So I was straight to jail. So it is what it is.
Okay, so wait, hold on a second. If anybody else says Black Lives Matter for any fucking reason in my goddamn chat, block them and get them the fuck out of here. Stupid motherfuckers can't stay on one topic at one time. You want to lose on the Black Lives Matter shit? Wait till the Black Lives Matter stream. This is about the live reaction to Derek Chauvin verdict guilty of all three charges. This has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. Nothing. But go ahead.
One incident cost that state, I would probably say close to the $1 billion mark. all of the security and maintenance and police
boarded up buildings.
Yeah, police vehicles. A lot of people don't know police vehicles are very expensive. Those Ford Interceptors,
man, like $100,000 a piece.
Yeah,
those are specialized vehicles. They're specialized.
Yeah, if they're properly optioned, like most of them in Boston police, those things are bulletproof windows, bulletproof armor inside the doors and stuff like that. That stuff is expensive, man. And they're losing those vehicles left and right. Yeah, I can't imagine that. This guy cost the state of Minnesota probably close to $500 million with his foolishness. All the one stupid decision to haul this guy in where they never needed to do it based on the Minnesota statutes.
Mike, he wasn't even thinking about those statutes. He was just trying to hurt the man. That's what he was doing. Doing.
Mike, remember, it took an entire week to arrest him.
Sure did. Sure did.
Right after the actual, I think it was the governor who had that press conference. Hey, man, they went to go get his ass after the press conference was over.
And when they had the mayor and all them with their backs against the wall, this guy isn't arrested. Yeah, they literally were getting ready to riot on that.
Yeah, that's what actually made the things go the way it went, because they didn't treat it like the eventual outcome that it is now. And those police, make no mistake, threw this guy under the bus to save their own dwindling power.
That's exactly right.
That's a point that people are missing. But that's what's happening here. Now, it may be a little, scrapes in the wall of the blue wall of silence, but they are spackling that thing back up, man, as this dude gets in jail, bro. So you have to be able to do it. And actually, Justin Martin, they actually ended qualified immunity in New York, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Know about it. So police officers, you're live. You're here in NYPD, and I've got a few friends in my gym who are NYPD. They're sitting back here saying, being a police officer, the job is not what it was now. It's trending downwards. They're saying it's trending downwards. Police officers, NYPD, guys who I live with, they're saying the job is trending downwards. Why? Because they're being held to a greater standard of now personal responsibility for what they do. That's what these guys are saying. It's fresh off the press as of 2 days ago. So I'm just saying, this is what's going down. These officers are now going to have to sit back here and really start thinking. This was a referendum on a lot of policing here in the United States. This is a big problem. This is worldwide. They understood they couldn't come in there with some shine bone bullshit like like these fucking shines wanted. Fuck you, shines. All y'all shine. Fuck y'all. But as far as real brothers who out here and see what this thing is really all about, they see that this is not the way to go. This is exactly what has to happen in order to begin to start to talk about bringing some order back into this game. We have to start talking about it. And then I don't know if Mike, do you have that clip where that truck is running into a police car, taking off, hitting a police vehicle, all right, taking off with a police officer dangling off the side. They didn't pull out one gun and shoot anyone. This came off Sean King's Instagram, and this was as of just about 2 days ago.
I know what it is, but I don't have it in front of me. But I'm kind of familiar with it.
Do you have it?
I do.
Yeah.
The other one that you gave me that we were supposed to do that night as well, Mike. Hold on a second.
Fire that
up. Looked it up. All right, so let me tell people one thing and one thing only. One thing and one thing only. In this specific case, in all these cases, the key center point is that you have trained professionals acting like untrained professionals. Laquan McDonald, the guy walking away from the cops, shot 16 times. 16. Every video that they have, you don't hear the actual sound of the police shooting them 16 times. But in the actual courtroom, they actually showed the tape where it was the case. Because if they had that tape out there showing that guy rattling off 16 rounds into that guy, the world would have been flipped upside down for that guy. In that case, he didn't have to do any of that. The dude was walking away and you didn't have to shoot him 16 times. Okay, the actual Tamir Rice state. Open carry state. Shot within seconds of showing up. Unacceptable. He knows it's an open carry state. He knows it. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say they actually when they let that guy go, that officer go, he got rehired somewhere else.
Yeah.
Only in America can you do something like that. I remember Pierce Morgan was going nuts over this, saying if this was in the United Kingdom, those officers would have been charged immediately. Yeah. And that's what that precipitated him getting kicked out of the United States. Him just saying that.
Yeah. John Crawford had somebody call the police on him for no reason. He was in the actual store with a gun, also in an open carry state. They shot him on showing up. You think if people show up and actually shoot people? No, dude, it depends on the clientele, which is how much force that they actually use. And you could be able to see this through their actual camera that they wear in different circumstances and scenarios, because that's going to be the next step of this. How does this individual act in the last 22 times that they had to actually pull somebody over for this type of reason? They should be able to catalog and track their actual camera use. Like, okay, this person didn't arrest for this. He followed professional procedures in this specific case. Okay, let's play what you did in this case. Now let's go and play what you did in this case. Why did you act like this in this type of case that was separate? Because your training is supposed to be the same. Your ability to deal with the situation is supposed to be the same. So if you change the way that you act, depend on the actual outcome of who the actual person is or not, you go to jail. Like that guy, the Somali guy who ended up shooting that Australian woman, he was treated just like the lady who shot that other kid was treated, in jail right away. It should be that simple. If you don't know what you're doing, then don't be out there. I don't give a shit about how scared you are. It doesn't say in the Constitution that your life is worth more than anybody else's. And just like Straight Shooter said, hell yeah, if you do that shit in the military, you're going to jail. You do that shit on base, you're going to jail. Every time. They're not going to allow you to go out here and disobey direct orders and say that, oh, I'm so scared that I had to commit a felony. No. If you don't want to take the risk associated with the job, then don't take the job. Maybe just we just need better people. And they act like you can't just retrain up somebody in 6 or 8 weeks to become a police officer. You're wrong. I don't give a shit about them people being hired just so that way they can keep their unconstitutional abuses going. I'm not willing to live in a place like that. But a lot of people are for some reason. This is too simple. Every other country is laughing at us because we can't get simple stuff right. Unreal.
They're looking at us like we're savages. I'm talking to people, like I say, outside of this country who look at this, who have issues in their own country. But they're sitting here looking at this like, what is this all about? This is America? You know, y'all really rolling like that? This is how y'all are rolling? You just murdering people? Folks are looking at this like we are sick. And we are. We have a deep psychosis here. And over this, you know, these issues have affected many of us, and unfortunately it's affected many of our Black men here in this society a great deal. Certainly on the outside of this space, which is this space is rather skewed with some highly fucked up views, but on the outside, it's a little more normal, but yet we still have many various shines of different tones, certainly moving about, and this is problematic. You know, this is highly problematic, and the onus that we see now, and what these guys have put this on, is the onus is on the police officers to protect. You know, if you're going to arrest somebody, arrest them, go through the proper procedures. Putting knees on necks and doing all kind of craziness is way out of the line of the scripts of your job. And that's why the blue wall of silence did fall back on this one. It fell down. And I don't think that this is going to be something that is just going to go away. I think a lot of police around the nation are looking at this as, this is an issue. This is a big issue. And we're going to have to be a little bit more careful here. This was a shot heard around the world. This was not anything that, this is not lightweight. This is not a lightweight thing that's just going to disappear. I can tell you that. It's just not going, we'll forget about this next week. It's not going to be the case here.
Yeah, we're going to see if your other type of conservatives cover it and give it, because this dude's obviously guilty. Like, I was just looking at Officer Tatum stuff. I had it in my ear, and it's just like unbelievable. Unbelievable. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to want a just society that you're going to work toward. I don't want to hear shit from people who don't take a side and who just say accepting things the way they are and not wanting to change shit. And then they turn around and complain about Black Lives Matter and the fucking LGBT bullshit. It's like, come on, man. It's like, look, it's either you're going to fight for the world that you want to live in or you're not going to have it. Or else it's just going to be assigned to you and you're not going to do anything about it.
Wait, MLT, is he like critical of the verdict?
He's trying to ride that fine line now, but he wasn't really doing that before. He really
Okay.
stayed out of it before.
Well, he doesn't want to end up like ABL. That's what he's trying to avoid. He likes those, you know, those analytics working in his favor. And so when somebody like ABL came out and denounced the 1-6, that was it for him. You know, they took him to the gallows. So that's probably why the gallows was up there in the first place for guys like him. But
But I mean, you've got that many true conservatives on the right who are banging hard. Because I mean, like I said, Rush Limbaugh was not defending this. Like you had Pat Robertson who's come out and called like this policing out. Yeah. So I'm like, I thought it was more guys in this space more than even conservatives outside of it who were trying to defend this.
Hey, look, the Shinosphere is right now. They're reeling on their heels. Pull all your shit down, Shinosphere. Disappear. Start talking about turned over shoot hose and keep it at that, because y'all are finished.
No, man, but that's what they're here for in the first place. Like that's why they came here. So not a big deal.
And your conservative pals on the right, the Mazungas, are not going to solve the woman problem for you. Your woman problem. They're not going to do that.
where's Candace Owens on this?
Yeah, where is she?
Oh,
Yeah, where is she at? Remember, she had a 40 million view video about how she didn't want to defend anything, and they just be letting these people off the hook.
yeah, where's Kim Classic?
Yeah. Yeah, man. They revoked the dude bail and they put him in cuffs and got him up out of there. Nah, man, you're not gonna sit around for another 2 months. I mean, like Kyle Rittenhouse isn't even going to jail yet. Trial been postponed to I think like October or something. Unbelievable. 3 murders and you out walking? What is this?
Well, he also wanted to go to Cancun.
Yeah.
Coincidentally.
No, he got in trouble too for not reporting his location. Like he had an address change, and the judge, someone was trying to get the bond revoked, and they weren't able to.
Yeah, but that's not enough to revoke a bond. The actual wrong address is actually the court's responsibility to check the address. It's the court's responsibility. Now, if he didn't have an attorney, yeah, they would have revoked his bond. But no, he had good representation, so no, that's not enough to revoke a bond. But now, if he had not been there and not shown up, because he had to show in some form of capacity to the actual criminal justice system itself. It's just that they didn't know his location, but they thought that was his location. Like that was the distinction there. So as long as his lawyer was keep talking about, no, he's right here. You just need to go set a date so that way he can come in. So, he filed a couple of motions to actually push it back, and then he actually showed up remotely. But yeah, in normal circumstances, nah, man, that dude, in normal representation, there ain't no attorney who's about to put their stuff on the line for anything like that. But in this type of case, since he was under so much obvious protection of, certain types of people, especially the ones who donated to him, yeah, he got some protection. So,
MOT, do you think if he would have pled guilty, this would have probably went a little bit smoother for him? He would
he
just
was working, he was working on an actual, which one? Chauvin?
Chauvin.
Chauvin would have probably got 5 years off the rip.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And
Really?
he really thought. I mean, for those of you who have not watched the case, I mean, it's a lot, 8 hours a day, man. I mean, it's a lot, but you got to pay attention to his facial expressions.
Yes.
Beginning, he had a Kool-Aid smile from ear to ear through that PPE that he thought that he was going to get away with it, and this would just be an open and shut case. He thought his white privilege would actually extend out, and I'm surprised that. I'm just gonna get some feedback. Yeah, I'm surprised that his attorney didn't tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, you might want to look a little bit down, try to play it up. His defense did not do a good job, man, at all. I mean, they were just throwing Molotov cocktail bombs in the courtroom, and it didn't really help at all. It actually further exacerbated the decision.
Yeah.
When I saw all those police officers coming up, those police professionals coming up and getting on that stand, and consequently tearing that ass out the frame, I said, this dude, he finished.
Now that's going to be the standard in every police case now. Every police that goes on trial is going to call those people onto the stand. That's now the new standard. That's now the new standard, that everybody is going to have to go on the record from the actual police department now. That's the new standard now.
You know what that's going to cause, MOT? A civil war within the blue wall of silence.
Yeah.
You can't have black police officers testifying against white police officers, and man, that's going to cause a major rift. That something that we've never seen before.
Because, dude, everybody isn't going to be able to take the fifth in these types of cases, man. If you take the fifth, you're going to be kicked off the force. That's what's going to happen. Nobody's going to force you to testify, but they're also not going to force you to stay on the force either.
That was Mark Furman in the OJ trial. Did you plant evidence? I take the fifth. Over.
Yeah. It's like, look, man, that's the new standard. And the standards of these police hitmen coming on there and these quack-ass doctors coming up there, yeah, man, your whole track record is going to be under scrutiny, huge scrutiny.
I would say also that the people who claim stop the steal, all these sort of ex-military forensic scientists, fake, Dr. Quacks and whatnot, those people should also be held accountable too, for standing in front of cameras and whatnot, spreading this misinformation, disinformation, just to get some airtime. You got to go down with this too. Everybody who made a statement about stop the steal, Chauvin was innocent and all this type of stuff. Ahmaud Arbery, all of these people got to be brought back in and say, hey, you're gonna at least do something for this. You're gonna do some time. You're gonna cough up some money for this, or both.
Thanks for $4.99 super chat, JR. The mass spirit has real influence in the country and the world. Counter for subscribers and views from all the major countries. Later, this stuff matters. It does, but the content is kind of slanted toward one issue, and once you leave that issue alone and actually take a side, you can actually get a lot of stuff done. An incredible amount of stuff done. Once you leave that issue alone, you can pretty much roll out and do whatever you want to, man. You can. I think I have it right here. Hold on a second. All right, go ahead, Mike. I think I got the text message. Hold on.
Hey, MOT, do you have that video that I sent? Are you able to put that up?
I'll look for it. Renaissance, you got anything?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, going back to Mike's point on the amount of money that was that this guy has cost the city. Just today they had all these businesses boarded up essentially. They still have the doors open for people to go in, but the kids, they were saying we're going to do virtual schooling. You got the National Guard there. You know, back in last year, you basically lost an entire police station. Who knows how many businesses and local areas. So it's just like this dude, and yet the National Guard have to come in again. So like Mike said, he's probably cost the state of Minnesota close to $500 million.
Yeah, you're talking about during a pandemic, you know, where the economy was already on the rocks, mostly because of failed leadership in the 45th presidency. But either way, that's a lot of money they have to choke on. And not just them, you know, surrounding states as well, you know, Wisconsin and all these other places, you know.
$27 million out the window.
What'd you say?
Say $27 million out the window on top of all the damage, on top of all the other stuff. Like, dude, this stuff is expensive.
Yeah, Minnesota Timberwolves, all the sports franchises and whatnot, man, that stuff is billions of dollars. That's at least $1 billion. Easy. And there's a lot of people in here who are like, man, you know, but I mean, Trump said, well, what about these guys burning down things? What are you talking about? All the people who got, you know, who were involved in sort of mischief and whatnot, civil disobedience, man, were arrested. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
They're mad about the target, I guess.
Yeah, because he used the same, you know, federal agencies to go after, you know, people, civilians on the ground practicing their First Amendment. But no one talks about that. He used drones. Before he got into office, he was talking about Obama being the drone president. Well, you're a drone president now too.
Well, he was a drone president. He finished.
Yeah.
No, I can't find either one of them. Damn.
Yeah, there's a lot of drones in the manosphere who rode their credibility into the ground. Now, what can you say after today?
All right, man. So they got okay. So they jumped on the wrong Trump train. They lost the election, and then they jumped on the train of, you know, the voter fraud thing. They rode that for a while. Then that was over. You had January 6th. Now the same people came back for the George Floyd trial. It's like, and some of these people still call themselves conservatives, but when it came to a street guy actually getting some type of justice from the police, the street conservative didn't even cover it. How is this happening?
Well, he's too busy buying GameStop stock at high rates, $350, $40 a share, and then it drops down to $50, and now he's SOL. But you know, one grift to another.
Oh, Formula Griff, they sided, boy. They got Formula Griff working fine. They power sliding that bad boy hard. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That's just where we at, man. And it doesn't make any sense. So we got to get up out of here. I want to hold people forever. So I want to thank everybody for. Wait, hold on. You got any last words on the go?
Yeah. Last words. The Shinosphere, y'all highly finished.
All right, Renaissance man.
Nah, I'll just second what Nagone said. I'm good.
All right, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, man. It's not hard to take a side, man. You have to understand that, hey, man, there's a minimum ways that these things need to be able to work if these things are going to work. But if you don't take a side, you want to be part of conversations because you need friends online, I don't know how the hell the man spirit allowed itself to get this way. But I want to thank y'all for coming through on the Man Tomorrow. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a really nice night. Peace.